Today, on our review for the Securities Industry Essentials exam, we are covering mutual fund expenses and disclosures. This is a critical area because the exam will test your understanding of how funds charge investors and what information they are required to provide. Let's start with sales charges, also known as sales loads. These are fees paid to the brokerage firm and the representative who sells the fund. The most common type is a front-end load, found in Class A shares. Here, you pay the charge up front when you buy the shares. For example, if you invest $1,000 into a fund with a 5% front-end load, $50 is immediately taken as a sales charge, and $950 is invested into the fund. On the other hand, Class B shares have what's called a back-end load, or a contingent deferred sales charge. You don't pay anything up front, but if you sell your shares within a certain period, usually several years, you'll be charged a fee. This fee typically declines each year you hold the shares, until it eventually disappears. The exam often tests the suitability of different share classes. An investor with a long time horizon might prefer Class A shares for their lower annual expenses, while someone unsure about their time horizon might be incorrectly steered towards Class B, not realizing the high costs if they need to sell early. Now let's connect this to 12b-1 fees. These fees are named after the SEC rule that permits them and are used to pay for a fund's marketing and distribution expenses. This includes compensating sales professionals, so they are directly related to sales charges. You'll find 12b-1 fees in all share classes, but they are structured differently. Class A shares typically have lower 12b-1 fees. Class B and Class C shares have higher 12b-1 fees. Class C shares are known for having a level load, which is really just a recurring annual 12b-1 fee that doesn't go away over time, making them potentially expensive for long-term investors. A common exam trap is to confuse what 12b-1 fees are for. They are strictly for marketing and distribution, not for paying the fund's portfolio manager or covering trading costs. This brings us to the expense ratio. The expense ratio represents the annual operating costs of the fund, expressed as a percentage of the fund's assets. It includes the portfolio management fee, administrative fees, legal fees, and importantly, the 12b-1 fee. The single most important thing to remember for the exam is what is not included in the expense ratio. Sales charges are not part of the expense ratio. The expense ratio reflects ongoing operational costs, while the sales charge is a transactional cost for distribution. An exam question might list several fees and ask which is excluded from the expense ratio. The answer will be the sales load or contingent deferred sales charge. To keep this straight, remember this phrase: management and marketing are ongoing expenses, but sales are a one-time load. The ongoing expenses are in the expense ratio, while the load is the separate sales charge. Finally, let's discuss disclosure. Every mutual fund must provide investors with a prospectus. This is the fund's primary disclosure document, containing information on its investment objectives, risks, performance, and of course, all of its fees and expenses. The rule is that a prospectus must be delivered to a client at or before the time of sale. It's not optional. For investors who want even more detail, there is the Statement of Additional Information, or SAI. The SAI provides more granular details about the fund's operations, such as its financial statements and information about the board of directors. The key distinction tested on the exam is that the SAI is not required to be sent to all investors. Instead, it must be made available to them upon request, free of charge. Think of it this way: the prospectus is the main user manual that everyone gets, while the SAI is the detailed technical schematic for those who want to dig deeper. So, remember, the prospectus is delivered proactively, but the SAI is sent if asked for.